I will give the floor, as the tradition wants it, to the Vice President, just to welcome our speaker. And then I will give the floor to the Vice Dean of the faculty to also welcome the speaker. Thank you very much. Yeah, very, very quickly.
Welcome.
Very brief. Very briefly, because actually time is very limited and we should get the most out of it.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank Dr. Amelia Walter for attending the University of Morocco. I think we have a lot of things to learn from your presentation. We are for many years trying to see how we can use AI in the field of education, because I think the use of AI in the field of education is the center of the presentation, because you are talking about society, you are talking about also efficiency and profit. Here we don't have profit, but we have efficiency. And what is important for us is to see another view of the use of AI, because usually we are talking about AI in technical terms or in technical domains, but the use of AI in human science is important, I think. And also, many problematics that we are facing in Morocco are depending on the good use of the tools offered now by social network, by internet, and by introduction of AI into internet by tools like OpenAI, ChatGPT, and things like that. So we have to, our discussion, I talked about educating. It's not educate in terms of you don't know, I will learn you how to do it. It's to learn the students how to choose a good path. If there is a good path where you can learn, where you can go forward, where you can learn, transform his knowledge into good knowledge, or you can go in another way, other path, which is not very fruitful for him. So that's why we encourage those kind of discussion, presentation, and we are welcoming you and hope that you will come another time, another period. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Buscot, I would want you to be very brief.
Très brièvement. D'abord, petit message quand même moral. On ne pourrait pas s'en passer sans remercier professeur Karat, professeur Cornelia. Merci beaucoup pour quand même répondu présente, mais surtout à travers votre contribution. Et j'espère qu'il y a encore. Félicitations d'être là. Ils n'ont pas bienvenue. C'est quand même une question très importante, à savoir qu'il n'y a pas si longtemps on parlait de nouvelles technologies de l'information et de la communication. Aujourd'hui, elles sont plus nouvelles. Mais je me perçois jour après jour du fait que technologie de l'information, mais intelligence artificielle. Alors, il y a quelques petits jours, on se disait c'est quoi intelligence artificielle maintenant. Alors c'est devenu très vulgarisé, très usité, mais sans que la question soit examinée sérieusement, voire suffisamment. Sur le côté pédagogique, professeur Tso, merci à vous, parce que vous êtes toujours au rendez-vous, vous encouragez quand même ce genre d'action. Vous en êtes très conscient parce que vous étiez les premières personnes qui parlaient justement, alors que j'ai entendu personnellement parler de la contribution de l'intelligence artificielle. Et donc je crois que nous assistons jour après jour aux côtés de nos étudiants et même de nos collègues que l'IA et qu'elle est utilisée. Alors, elle est instrumentée, mais ça ne veut pas dire qu'elle est utilisée à bon escient. Ça ne veut pas dire que l'IA est instrumentalisée comme il le faut. Alors, avec l'hypothèse de travail, il y a beaucoup de choses à tirer de l'intelligence artificielle dans des contextes d'éducation, de formation, dans les contextes pédagogiques. Je crois que nous avons besoin aujourd'hui d'un discours pédagogique, alors qui devrait intégrer ces fonctionnalités, justement dans les deux actions de l'enseignement, de la formation, mais surtout de l'apprentissage, de manière à ce que ça devienne une arme, mais qui n'est pas nocive contre l'institution, les institutions éducatives. Voilà, merci beaucoup.
Merci, Dr. Rousseau, pour ces clarifications aussi. Merci à Monsieur le Vice-président. Moi, je voudrais juste présenter notre... je continue en français. Non, je peux parler en anglais. Yeah, okay. So, as I said, it's a real pleasure to welcome and a privilege to welcome actually a remarkable thinker, humanitarian leader and scholar, Dr. Cornelia Otter. Dr. Cornelia is a visionary whose work bridges law, ethics, and technology with an unwavering commitment to humanity. This is exactly where she stands, okay? With more than 20 years of experience at the United Nations, she has dedicated her career to driving social change and empowering individuals and communities across the world. She currently serves as a senior fellow at the Wharton School, USA, Sunway University Center for Planetary Health in Malaysia, and the Center for International Governance Innovation in Canada, where she continues to pioneer groundbreaking work on pro-social AI and hybrid intelligence. She is the founder of the PROS Global Alliance, which seeks to build agency amid AI for all. And beyond her research and leadership, Dr. Cornelia is the author of 6 insightful books, a regular contributor to Forbes and Psychology Today, and her forthcoming book, Artificial Intelligence for Inspired Action, promises to reshape how we think about technology and social good. Today's talk, today, Dr. Cornelia invites us to explore a vital question. In an era where human and machine intelligence increasingly coexist, how can we ensure that artificial intelligence remains truly human-centered? Her talk, Pro-Social AI for a Hybrid Era, challenges us to move beyond efficiency and automation to imagine AI as a social ally that fosters empathy, inclusion, and collective well-being. It is a call to action for each of us to think critically about the world we are building and the values that guide it. At a time defined by uncertainty and rapid transformation, Dr. Cornelia reminds us that the most powerful intelligence is not artificial. It is ethical, connected, and deeply human. So please join me to welcome Dr. Cornelia for her talk, Pro-Social AI for a Hybrid Era. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the, how do I change the, yeah, she's connected. Can you go to the,
Thank you so much for the invitation and also for the L'Oreal flowers growing introduction. So thank you very, very much. I'm going to present in English, but I'm happy to switch to French and to answer questions in French. Donc il n'y a pas de problème, n'hésitez pas de parler dans la langue où vous êtes la plus confortable. Tant que ce n'est pas l'arabe, l'allemand, ça va aussi. Donc, quand on se bat avec la technologie. Shukran. Donc ça, dans mon snapshot, c'est la logique sous-jacente à tout ce que je vais dire, le changement, the individual change as the cause and consequence of social change, and natural intelligence as the cause of artificial intelligence, and what we're doing now will determine whether it becomes its consequence. Which leads us to the deceptively simple and slightly complex question: how can we harness AI to bring out the best in and for people and planet? How can we make it a catalyst for positive transformation? This is the logical change underneath what I'm going to talk about. AI in general and technology in particular is neutral. It's a mean to an end. It's not an end in itself. And that end needs to be determined by the human user. That, however, requires agency, the ability and the volition to take independent action, but also the perception of that agency. And that, in a hybrid era, requires hybrid intelligence. So HI, which arises from the complementarity of NI, natural intelligence, and AI, artificial intelligence. And that requires double literacy. Not just digital literacy, which is much spoken about these days, but on the one hand, key literacy, a holistic understanding of self and society, people and planet, and algorithmic literacy, not just prompt engineering and what's the latest tool, but also the how and why it works, and what's the impact of those artificial treasure chests on our own inherent ability to think, to reason, to act, and to interact. That's briefly what we're going to look at. And just maybe taking a step back, as we're talking about artificial intelligence, which I would argue is a misnomer, because AI is something which is far more limited. It's an algorithmic calculation, whereas human intelligence is an organically evolving kaleidoscope that is the result of millennia and millennia of years. And what is particularly important, if we were to zoom in on one clear distinction, it is the fact that natural intelligence has evolved biologically and is a complex web of interactions, whereas artificial intelligence, at the end of the day, is man-made. It was created by humans for humans. It's important to keep that at the back of our mind. So AI and NI are different, but maybe not so much. But if we wake up towards another perspective of ourselves, then we could say that human experience and human expression is the cause and consequence of 4 dimensions, with aspirations, emotions, thoughts, and sensations at the individual level, with experiences that are shaping what's happening inside, and the result of that shaping our expressions in the environment, which is then shaping and leading to certain situations, which again is leading to particular experiences that influence how we feel, think, aspire, and behave. So input shaping output. And if we take that to the stage of AR, then in a very simplified way, one could say that the same logic holds true, because functions shape models, shape inference, shape processing, and again, input shapes output, and output influences input. So another way of looking at that is the AI is as good or as bad as the humans that use or lose it. And the old saying, garbage in, garbage out, still holds very true. But we have a choice in that regard. We can turn that in, values out. But that depends on the choices that we're making today. we can't expect the technology of tomorrow to be better than the humans of today. Because the technology that we're complaining about today and that is causing a lot of problems is the reflect of the values and the mindsets of the humans that lived yesterday. Which leads us to the need for a first reframing of the big AI discussion, of AI as an abstract threat or a mere business opportunity, to the need of seeing it as a latent catalyst for positive or individual change, but also a reframing of our mindset away from this aspect of AI being a phenomenon that is happening to us towards a dynamic that is happening with, because, and amongst us, which leads us back to the central role of agency and the need of empowered citizens. Because the choices we make are the chances that we do take or not. And what happens now will determine very much what's going to happen next. And I apologize if a lot of the stuff that I'm saying sounds very simplistic, but at the end of the day, one could say that what we're currently navigating is much less about the technology than about the human beings that are navigating it. And we're currently transitioning a very dangerous stage of agency decay. We have passed the stage of experimentation with AI, and we are deeply into that part of integration. I don't know about you, but are you still writing your emails from scratch? Are you still writing your reports from scratch? I see a lot of nodding and smiling, and I have been doing this presentation in various fora over the past many weeks, and I always get the same experience. So you are not alone. AI is seeping into our day and work life. And the aspect that we're delegating so willingly ever more of our capacities is a dangerous sign of our times. When I was a child, I didn't have one of those friends in the pocket. To this day, I remember the phone number of my grandmother when I was 5 years old. Today, best case scenario, I remember my own. And I don't know, you come into a new city, are you still using the map to find your way? Or is Google Maps your best friend? Well, these are just very isolated functions in the brain, but ChatGPT is this charming general purpose technology to which we can delegate a blanco of all of our cognitive effort. That is very dangerous considering the fact that the human being likes to walk the path of least resistance. We can avoid effort, we embrace every single opportunity. But all of us, as we're sitting here today, and I really appreciate your interest in this topic, we are part of the last analog generation. We have the luxury that our brain has evolved in a time and age where it had to evolve against friction. And the brain is a muscle. We use it or we lose it. But that leaves us with a big responsibility towards the next generation that will grow up in an age where ChatGPT will be on their fingertips, where they can delegate everything from finding their way to finding out what they should do about the investment towards what they are cooking next weekend. Everything can now be delegated to your always friendly chatbot. And the A of agency decay, if we look at that in the institutional setting, a lot of the promises of the early days with ChatGPT were that, well, ChatGPT is going to free up space for thinking, for strategic reflection, for creativity. But de facto, what is happening in businesses around the world is that managers have adjusted very quickly. And so the expectations have risen gigantically, and now workers are expected to deliver faster, better quality, and basically 24/7. So rather than having to deliver less with better quality, they are now expected to deliver more with always excellent quality because their managers anyhow expect that they use ChatGPT. And the indirect consequence is that even those who were skeptical about delegating part of their work towards ChatGPT now have no other choice because they want to keep up, because they have to keep up, because otherwise they lose their jobs. Now, I'm also writing on Forbes, which has quite a far-reaching distribution, and after publishing an article on AI anxiety, I had various students from China to Europe who reached out to me and they said, well, you know what? Your article really resonated. I feel my brain fading away. I have to use it because otherwise I can't keep up with my assignments, but I'm no longer learning. I'm just delivering. And I know it's wrong. I know it's not serving me, but I don't have a choice if I want to get through the year. Now, the A of agency decay is unfortunately just the beginning of an ABCD of underappreciated AI issues, because there's also the B of bond erosion. And now already there are more and more reports of people falling in love with their chatbots, of having solid, effective relationships.
They released the
But now,
specific one.
in a couple of years, it might no longer be futuristic that those always friendly, always charming, always patient friends in the pocket that always find you magnificent will be incorporated in robots that just look the same, the way you want it. The partner you choose from a catalog. So why would you bother with another human being that is just as quirky and cumbersome as you are yourself? The C of climate change, the environmental footprint, that is also much little spoken about. There is now Google saying that one prompt does not have more than 7 seconds on Netflix, but what about the training that goes into the source model? What about the land that is used for ever bigger data centers? What about the water used for the cooling of those data centers? Maybe you saw there are quite a number of reports that came out earlier this month from small communities from Mexico via Ireland to Asia, reporting that they have electricity blackouts and water cuts because big data centers were built in their vicinities and they are given priority. Now, what does this say about our society when data centers are given priority over communities? And finally, the D of a divided society. Because we might be millions who are excited about AI, but there are a couple of billions who are still struggling to have clean water, enough food, and electricity throughout the day. And those could arguably benefit the most from technology, but they are also the least likely to access it. So where does this lead us? Where do we stand as a society? And if we take this into a more macro perspective, then we could say we're navigating a hybrid tipping zone where we have the agency decay at the individual level, which is coinciding with AI mainstreaming at the institutional level, with public and private institutions eager to jump on the AI trend for fear of being left behind, and at the macro level, the race towards AI supremacy, with countries as much as obviously the big tech giants that seek artificial general intelligence, so AI supremacy, although they are pretty transparent about the fact that once they have it, they don't know how to control it. And they're not uncertain about the likelihood that this AGI might destroy humanity. But that does not prevent them from trying to get it. And finally, there is the decay of the planet, that very sensible eco-environment that we're all depending on our survival. With 7 out of 9 planetary boundaries that have now been crossed, with irreversible damages to our future. pro-social AI, which avoids addiction and activates agency. So it's in a way the opposite of the conventional AI, because it's pro-social, it's pro-people, it's pro-planet, and it's for the potential of everybody, no matter where they live, what they have, what they know, and what they offer in terms of financial contribution. But that requires HI, hybrid intelligence, the complementarity of natural and artificial intelligence, and that requires double literacy. So a 360-degree understanding of ourselves, including all of our limitations, because we might like to think that we're rational decision makers, but let's face it, that is not the fact. There's abundant literature about the biases and shortcuts that we have in our brain, but even reading about them very many times, we're not immune about them. But it's dangerous not to be informed of them in a time and age where algorithms that are optimized to exploit those cognitive weaknesses are all amongst us. So hybrid intelligence, one could say, is the sweet spot that we need to land on moving forward. And that is also the Achilles heel that will determine our agency amidst AI. And in the best case scenario, it will lead us to that very special area of not only hybrid intelligence, but hybrid creativity, which is that space where neither NI nor AI could take us alone. So I'm not going into all of these details, but maybe you heard a lot of these terms: ethical AI, AI for good, social AI. Ethical AI is for the mitigation of risk. Social AI is the use of conventional AI systems for positive social causes, whereas pro-social AI is the deliberate use and design, delivery, and deployment of AI systems with regenerative intent. So with a social ambition configured into the architecture from A to Z. And in that sense, it's the core of the center of hybrid intelligence, because we can't have one without the other. This is what we spoke about, and maybe something to focus on in particular is this respect for cultural diversity and of co-creation of AI systems, and which is also coming back to what I said earlier in one of the conversations, which is this aspect that a country like Morocco, that has such a rich cultural and historical, but also linguistic richness, has a lot to position itself as a pioneer, as a champion for social AI, that offers a different path towards a hybrid future, which is not the US model, which is business overall, which is not the European model, which is regulation overall, and which is not the Chinese model of state dominance, but which is a fourth path, which is deliberately configured for people and planet, and which is bringing out the richness of the diversity that exists. So the ultimate goal, a hybrid future where everybody has a fair chance to fulfill their inherent potential with planetary dignity. I have been trying to go through this relatively fast because I would be very interested to hear your thoughts and your questions. But one aspect or one thought that I would maybe like to leave you with, it's this understanding that I think we should incorporate into our thinking moving forward, that in a hybrid future everything is connected, and that we cannot pick and choose the features that we want to work on, because it is like playing billiard. When we push one goal, it might trigger a lot of others that move in an unexpected way. And so agency amidst AI is kind of the nexus that is at the center. And if you're interested, there are various books. The new one is coming out at the end of this year. You also have my LinkedIn if you want to get in touch. And yeah, thank you very much.
So thank you, Dr. Cornelia, for a very insightful talk. And actually, as you have noticed, it's really for the sake of humanity and how to really make AI serve humanity rather than enslave it, I think. Okay? So now we are ready to take your questions, please, or comments. So yes, please.
So first of all, thank you for this amazing presentation. It's really
Can you introduce yourself when you before you ask your question, please? Yes.
so my name is Anas Zawi. I'm a researcher and doctorate in criminal law, and I'm really interested about this topic because I myself am advocating for youth rights, and especially within my association, my NGO, where there's interesting point in the Maastricht principles about the rights of the future generation. So it is the 17 points which highlights developing or using artificial intelligence system that threaten the full enjoyment and fulfillment of human rights of future generation. So to see this humanitarian approach, especially regarding the use of resources, natural resources, and human resources, and also economical, I think that this approach of pro-social AI is really interesting because, first of all, as students in the university, I think the best thing that our professors could introduce us to is the use of this artificial intelligence in our research and academia. So thankfully, we are not denied this right to address and to tackle this kind of issues. And thankfully, I really understood how we could tackle this issue. But I have a question regarding the political impact of because as you said, you are a specialist in the UN system and the human rights system, and especially if we could address this kind of subjects in the either within our states or within the UN treaty bodies or systems.
So I'm not sure if I understand it as a question. I agree on all your points, and I did my PhD on the responsibility to make children's rights come true. So I hear you when you talk the lawyer language, and I agree with you. However, the reason why I then shifted toward 20 years with UNICEF in the field is that I somehow lost a little bit my belief of just trusting regulatory bodies and UN or other rights bodies to get the future in the shape we need it. So I think we need to invest in human agency in parallel to investing in the systems to keep the overall trend in place. So that's number one. Number two, yes, on this aspect of getting states as champions and as getting UN regulations in place. I'm currently, whilst being in Morocco, working with UNFPA, and we have various encounters with the Moroccan government. I'm also working with the Malaysian government in that same direction. So I think, and I agree with you on that, that it should come from the institutional level. My only concern would be we can't leave it at that. So we need to invest in the system as much as in the individual mindset.
Bonjour tout le monde. Donc, je préférais l'exprimer en français parce que on va dire le vocabulaire est là. Donc, je vous remercie déjà pour votre présentation. Moi, je vais aller plus vers le fond. J'ai une question de fond. Je pense que le pro-social AI, ça ressemble plus au greenwashing qu'on a connu dans les différentes technologies, etc. Donc, si j'ai bien compris, le Pro-Social AI, c'est un projet à nous tous en tant qu'humains à valoriser. Mais est-ce que les entreprises qui ont des intérêts capitalistes vont s'aventurer et éviter de faire des bénéfices pour le bien de l'humanité? Parce que vous l'avez dit, pro-social, oui, mais comment? Moi, j'ai une question, parce que là, j'ai créé un article qui reprend plus ou moins les différents billets culturels, etc., comment ils sont effacés. Parce que vous avez parlé de social. Tout ce qui est social implique la culture, le respect de l'autre, de la culture. Sauf que quand on utilise des IA, la majorité, c'est des IA entraînées sur des datasets weird, c'est-à-dire westernized, industrialized countries. Ok? Donc, si moi, Marocain, je demande un conseil perso, limite, à ChatGPT ou autre, je vais avoir une réponse dédiée à une culture autre que la mienne. Donc, ce n'est pas vraiment le nom qui va changer les choses, mais ça, on aura besoin d'une gouvernance et même plus que ça, des IA vraiment nationaux et africaines pour ne pas perdre nos cultures au fil du temps. Parce qu'on voit bien que l'IA maintenant fait office d'autorité cognitive. Donc, it's a cognitive authority. And this is really dangerous, especially, comme a dit monsieur le vice-président, pour les noms, on va prendre le mot exact, les noms formés. Non éduqués. Donc, l'éducation en ce qui concerne l'IA, c'est quelque chose encore de plus compliqué et c'est un but, c'est un objectif noble pour notre société. Donc, j'aimerais savoir, est-ce que c'est un social washing ou quelle est votre solution pour que nous, Africains, puissions éviter ce genre de problème et de suppression de nos cultures? Merci.
Oui, merci beaucoup pour la question, parce que au contraire, c'est exactement l'opposé de green or social or whitewashing. Au contraire, je ne peux pas me répéter suffisamment par rapport à ça, parce que ces 4 T, de tailor, train, tested and targeted, c'est quelque chose qui est très mesurable. Et une des piliers de ce qu'on est en train de discuter aussi bien ici qu'on a dit, c'est la définition d'un Pro-Social AI Index avec des indicateurs mesurables pour quantifier dans quelle mesure une entreprise ou une institution ou un pays a réellement atteint 1, 2 ou 3 ou 4 de ces 4 T. Donc, au très contraire, ce n'est pas un nouveau label et au contraire aussi, j'ai écrit un article comme quoi le Pro-Social AI pourrait être le nouveau ESG, donc un nouveau label, mais qui cette fois-ci ne répète pas les erreurs du passé, où un label devient juste une nouvelle boîte et une nouvelle affiche qu'on peut scotcher sur la boîte en laissant le contenu intact. Maintenant, la dernière chose par rapport aux Africains, et ayant travaillé dans 7 pays africains différents, et on me suis rendu compte que la culture à chaque fois est très très différente. Je pense que même votre approche d'une AI africain, je pense que c'est condamné à être une nouvelle forme de washing, seulement de African washing. Donc je pense que ça sera tellement plus diversifié que les cultures du Sud envers les cultures du Nord, etc., etc. Mais je pense qu'on doit...
Quelle est la solution à votre avis?
À mon avis, la question... Premièrement, il n'y a pas la solution, parce que la technologie est en train de changer aussi rapidement qu'il serait absurde de ma part ou de quelqu'un d'autre de prétendre que la réponse. Et je pense qu'il faut poser les bonnes questions et en posant des questions, aussi ne pas avoir peur de marcher sous les éléphants blancs qu'on a tendance à laisser en dessous de la table, y compris le political correctness, parce que de ce point de vue, l'arrivée de l'intelligence artificielle, elle devrait nous forcer à vraiment regarder la chose en face et de nous poser des questions très inconfortables individuellement, mais en tant que société également.
Je voulais juste faire un commentaire. Je vais parler en français pour aussi que vous puissiez comprendre ce que je suis en train de dire.
pour ma part, mon travail sur l'intelligence artificielle, il date de plus de 35, peut-être 40 ans. Voilà, il date de plus de 40 ans parce que j'ai fait une partie de mon cursus sur l'intelligence artificielle, de ma thèse de doctorat en intelligence artificielle, et j'ai été recruté pour ça ici au niveau de l'université. Et j'ai vu évoluer la perception de ce que c'est que l'intelligence artificielle. On est passé d'une perception de on veut reproduire un être humain à on veut reproduire Dieu. Et là, je suis clair dans ce que je dis, c'est-à-dire que parce qu'un être humain est perfectible et il est plein d'imperfections. C'est ce qui fait l'être humain. Or, on imagine un Dieu qui, normalement, est parfait. Et toute la difficulté vient du fait que dans ce qu'on appelle aujourd'hui intelligence artificielle, il n'y a rien d'artificiel et il n'y a rien d'intelligent. Nous sommes en train de reproduire, ce que vous avez parlé d'algorithmique, nous faisons de l'algorithmique. Et en fait, on travaille sur des knowledge-based systems, c'est des systèmes à base de connaissances. Et toute la difficulté que l'on a, c'est essayer de modéliser, de représenter, de formaliser un lieu ou un objet commun, mais avec des buts différents. Ça a été dit, ceux qui vont dominer le monde, c'est les Chinois et les Indiens. Ils sont 3 millions. Ce n'est pas les Marocains qui sont 30 millions. Pourquoi? Parce que quand on construit du chat GPT, quand on construit une idée fixe. Et je vais aller plus loin que ça. En fait, moi je pense que si on continue à utiliser cette voie-là, on va tuer l'innovation. Parce que l'innovation vient de la diversité. J'ai eu une conversation très intéressante avec un collègue ce matin, il m'a dit ce qui fait l'innovation, ce qui fait les avancées, c'est les avis différents. C'est le fait qu'on ne soit pas différents. Mais si on a tous le même avis, il n'y aura jamais d'innovation. Et donc, en fait, dans le monde que l'on doit se construire, effectivement, il y a le problème d'éthique, il y a le problème du partage. On sait très bien que ce qui pilote le monde, c'est les entreprises. C'est les data. On a un monde piloté par les data. Et ça devient de plus en plus le cas, même si on s'en aperçoit pas. Tout ce que l'on fait au quotidien est dirigé par les data. Alors, moi, ma question, c'est comment les sciences humaines et sociales peuvent impacter ou changer ou shifter cette mode de l'IA pour lui apporter une touche d'humanité dont elle a besoin. Parce que si on le laisse au niveau des techniciens, ils vont bâtir un monde froid. Ils vont bâtir le monde que l'on voit à la télévision, des robots, tout ça. Ça, ils savent bien le faire, et ils vont bien le faire. Mais il nous faut un monde fait d'une intelligence artificielle qui se trompe, qui exprime des sentiments, qui est capable de rire, qui est capable de créer. Et ça, malheureusement, pour l'instant, je ne vois pas un système d'IA capable de le faire. Ben, je voudrais avoir votre avis dessus.
Non, excellente question. Et je pense, à nouveau, je n'ai pas la réponse, mais je pense qu'il y a deux aspects et deux voies où les universités et les arts et les sciences peuvent jouer un très grand rôle. C'est d'une part cet aspect d'intégrer dans leur curricula la double littératie, parce que ça, ce n'est pas quelque chose qui est enseigné ni à l'école primaire, ni dans les kindergarten, ni dans l'université. Et ça, à mon avis, ça devrait dorénavant être partie de l'équipage du plus jeune âge jusqu'à la retraite. Et l'autre part, c'est pour les universités de créer des espaces où les différentes disciplines peuvent se rencontrer et se échanger d'une façon ouverte et sans les limites d'incommensurabilité où l'un ne comprend pas l'autre parce que chacun vient avec son propre point de vue et avec son propre vocabulaire et avec, bon, voici ma façon de regarder le problème et alors voici ma façon d'approcher le problème et voici mon approche de solution. Et je pense que c'est là où peut-être le rôle des universités sera le plus précieux de gérer et d'offrir un forum où les arts humains et sociaux parlent aux techniciens, où les techniciens parlent aux gens qui font la politique, les gens qui font la politique parlent à ceux qui font du management, ceux qui font le management parlent avec ceux de l'art, etc., etc. Donc, où on a la possibilité de nourrir, de cultiver ce réseau des penseurs et des praticiens qui viennent tous avec une autre petite morceau de la solution et surtout avec beaucoup de questions et un point de vue qui est prêt à l'apprendre et prêt à être corrigé. Je pense que c'est là pour moi le rôle central des universités.
Thank you, Karim Bouzouba. I am a professor at the Mohammedia School of Engineers. So coming from a technological perspective, maybe in the same sense as the Vice President was talking, my PhD in AI, so on and so forth, I share with you many of the ideas that you shared with us. However, and it's nice to have however always, to have other ideas.
I was expecting that you were.
Yeah.
So nice.
How to say? When we talk about the nuclear bomb, it's nuclear technology which is used for the good and for the bad. So I don't think today we're going to change the world because the technology is here. When you have the technology, it's here, and what decides, as you exactly mentioned, is how we use it individually and in a group. I don't think that we're going to stop it someday. It's going to change day after day. We, as the Vice President was explaining, I think that I can say I did the bad choice to choose to work on AI because it's something that changes every decade, every year, every month, every second, unfortunately. And we are suffering to cope with the updates, with these changes. With this said, what does it mean? Your definition of AI, I don't totally agree with you. Your definition of intelligence, from where did you get it, first of all? Because my understanding, there is no definition of intelligence. How to define it? Do you really think that the intelligence is too fat to adapt? I don't think so. It's a very broad idea, and it's nice if we can have a standard definition of intelligence, but these are only some of the behaviors that we can see of an intelligent being, but that does not mean this is the right definition of intelligence. One side. Second side, your definition of AI is mainly based on the use of data. It's not the case. AI started in the 50s with other kinds of AI, which we call the winter AI, of course, because companies were not interested at all because it doesn't make any outcome, any profit. I'm using the word that I don't know. Anyway, so the rule-based system or the knowledge. We know, psychologically speaking, or neuroscience, that we don't manage data, but we do manage knowledge, right, in our brain. What we have is knowledge and not data. So because the knowledge cannot be taken from human beings, what we take data and we convert it to knowledge. So the day that we are going to have the knowledge, as we did maybe 2 decades ago, then we can have something that really represents AI. What I want to say with this is that AI has 2 broad definitions. One is the simulation of intelligence, which is the case today, and another one, the imitation of intelligence.
But I have also those in there.
Imitation and simulation?
Simulation.
Yes.
Right. Maybe I didn't pay attention, but for me, the knowledge-based system that we were using in the past is something that was imitating intelligence. But today, because we are relying on the use of data, because data is available, and then we need more machines, we need more, it's time consuming, it's time preparation, so on and so forth, in order to present or to convert the data into knowledge. And this is where the problem is. And this is today why we are using ChatGPT, right? Maybe the next approach of AI will use knowledge and not data, and then AI will definitely change. You understand my point?
Yes, I'm not quite understanding it as a question. I'm more.
It's not the question, it's not a sharing of ideas. It's
Also, I
not the
think
question.
there's one aspect that's important to keep in mind, which is that data is a proxy. So that who says right now that AI is anchored or that is just a pure derivative of data has only part of the equation, so that's why I did not say that. I think data is right now a very important point, but if you remember the spiral that I showed, data was not even mentioned. So I think it's much more about the architecture of the algorithmic configuration than it is about the data that enters and that comes out, and which is part of an important piece in that equation, but which is far from everything. Also because one could argue that actually knowledge is converted to data, but also the other way around. So which is it? But ultimately, I agree with you that data is one piece, but it's definitely not the only one.
Okay, my point is that I had a conversation 2 weeks ago in a conference with some people that actually are developing a new LLM dedicated to the Arabic language, right? And in my presentation, I said I was comparing specific tasks in linguistics, saying that you can have a better accuracy if you use the old AI rather than the new AI. And they said, oh, we don't need to use the old AI, we want something new. I said, why? I said, it's fine, but how much electricity have you consumed so far to develop it? I consume nothing. What's the harm of using an old AI if it works, right? So I mean, for me, the vision use the most appropriate approach in terms of different metrics, rather than only the technological metrics, but different metrics in order to say it's AI. I'm not against LLMs. I'm not against this or that. I am for using the best appropriate approach whenever it shows that it is for the humanity, for so on and so forth. Also, I have been interested in ethics also this last week, and we are proposing a new ethical framework that takes into consideration, you are calling it or naming it pro-social AI, but we are proposing a new ethical framework that takes into consideration the culture and the morality, which today, if you pay attention to the ethics principles used, are mainly Western technological. While if we put into consideration the morality, the culture, the different points like this, so we can use better AI.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I will take a last question. You've already asked one.
But I have more.
One question? Yeah, well, we can get connected.
Thank you so much for the insightful input that you shared with us today. I'm Jihan Ladi. I'm a doctor, PhD candidate here. And my topic is about higher education. And my question would be, we go into that. How can we enhance the educator's skills regarding the AI? Now we are having new generation. They are more skilled, I think, than the educators inside the classroom. How can we grow together or co-create or upskill the educators in terms of AI?
I think a very important part in that, and that's a big question, it's to build curiosity into the AI system, and to, especially when it comes to using AI in the context of learning and teaching, is to build in a so-called Socratic method, so where the AI is pushing the user to think and to ask themselves the uncomfortable questions. So rather than lulling the user into the comfort zone of, I know it all, and there are quite interesting studies know that especially very performant so-called power users of AI, they have an absolute wrong understanding of judging how well they have understood a topic. So even people who previously were subject experts, they are now losing some of their skills and overestimating themselves dramatically, because the ChatGPT or whichever tool they are using is giving them that certainty. Oh, I'm so good. I know it all. But I think a big benefit of the role of AI in learning will be to make users uncomfortable, to make each of us realize every single day that we don't know, and that even if and when we have understood a little piece, then that is just one step closer towards understanding nothing at all.
Thank you. Are you ready to take the last question from this young man?
That depends if it's a real question and not a 2-hour statement. Yes.
No, I didn't say anything. I only asked questions. So, sorry to take more of your time. But, encore une fois, I'm gonna switch to French. Donc, moi je dirais que là, on est toujours socialement dans une hype de l'IA. Et bien sûr, comme a dit monsieur le professeur, on a misunderstanding déjà des mots. Quand on parle de l'IA, ce n'est pas l'IA que les gens maintenant appellent l'IA, n'est-ce pas? Donc,
Question.
oui, bien sûr. It's a question.
To me.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So, pour moi, je pense, est-ce que vous partagez cet avis, que l'IA est encore une nouvelle technologie, comme Internet, comme la radio, comme la télé, et tout le monde a fait le buzz, oui, la télé va changer l'éducation, Internet va changer l'éducation, et à la fin, on est resté au point mort. Il y a des gens qui en ont profité et d'autres pas. Qu'en pensez-vous? It's too much hype, or it will change more than the other technology?
Yes. Donc, premièrement, dans une version précédente de celle-ci, j'avais un slide qui disait d'une façon antagonistique le fait que les applications, on pourrait dire que les microwaves étaient une forme de l'intelligence artificielle très rudimentaire. Mais donc les IA, oui, c'est une nouvelle itération, on pourrait dire, de l'intelligence artificielle, et on est en train de schématiser gravement en parlant toujours de l'IA et parfois de generative IA par rapport à cette technologie spécifique qui est explosée sur la scène en novembre 2022, bien que c'est juste les LLM avec une interface qui est très user-friendly. Mais c'est juste une toute petite dernière itération. Je pense là où la question beaucoup plus grande se pose, c'est qu'on est en ce moment sur une tendance de répéter les mêmes erreurs qui ont été commises durant la première, deuxième et troisième révolution industrielle, où le développement de la nouvelle technologie était poussé par des intérêts commerciaux.
La même chose maintenant.
Et je pense là où on doit cette fois-ci faire une différence avec cette quatrième révolution industrielle, c'est que l'impact de l'intelligence artificielle actuelle, l'impact sur notre capacité de réfléchir, de penser, d'interagir, elle est trop importante, elle est trop persuasive, et donc cette fois-ci, on ne peut pas le laisser uniquement dans le secteur privé. On doit faire une différence, et ça, en principe, c'est la seule raison pour laquelle j'ai fait cette présentation et pour laquelle je travaille sur ce sujet.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Dr. Cornelia, for a very inspiring, insightful, and very enriching, actually, talk. And I'm sure many people will leave this talk with plenty of questions, thinking about a lot of things and about the risks for humanity that AI represents, and also for their personal use of AI. So we keep telling students that it's not good for them to rely too much on AI, because they can rely on it, but they should use it responsibly and ethically, and not really use it blindly. So thank you very much for a very inspiring talk. And I would like you to let's take a group photo, please, as a memory of this event. Thank you very much. Let's come here.
thân Select.